Good morning, everybody. My name's Tim Johnson, and this is Stacy Warho.
Hey, Tim.
How you doing?
Happy July.
Happy. I love July. I don't know. Well, it's birthday month. I guess that's I've always liked it. You see the June bugs and the lightning bugs. And, I don't know. Bugs in July and my birthday kind of go together for some reason. I don't know.
I don't either.
Sorry for that discord, but anyways, today we are talking about grants, and let's do the commercial. Hi, Stacy.
Hey, Tim. In Their Neighborhood is a show where we bring in people to elaborate on what exactly it is that they do in the community so that we can recruit more volunteers for them, educate about the nonprofits that we have, and really we want to connect volunteers with their volunteering vision.
We have amazing organizations in Peoria that rock and make Peoria rock.
That's right. Peoria is an awesome place, and if we just take the time to give back, then it's going to be that much better.
Our goal is to help people that kind of want to volunteer but maybe are a little afraid of volunteering, and give them the opportunity to volunteer in an easy way and get to know the organizations before they even get involved with them.
Being a volunteer hero. There you go.
We're looking for volunteer heroes. We are all about volunteer heroes.
Yes, we are.
We're also about different things in the community and non-for-profits and difference makers. That's really what we're all about. And today we have Mark Roberts of the Community Foundation. Welcome.
Good morning, Stacy and Tim. Good to see you. Thanks for having me on this beautiful day.
It's a great day.
It's really hot.
It's really hot. Love it.
What is the Community Foundation?
Well, there's a couple ways I like to answer that question, and one is the really practical answer, and it is we're a public 501c3 charity. We're in our 34th year, and at the very heart of what we do is building a permanent charitable endowment on behalf of the community. So we work with people in the community. They might be families or individuals or corporations or even other nonprofits. They contribute money to the Community Foundation. We invest that all together into one big pot with the idea of growing that pot as large as we possibly can. And then for every year we take a portion of that and we make grants to support all kinds of great organizations and programs and projects in the community. So at our hearts, we're grant makers. But the other less pragmatic answer that I like to give is part of our mission statement, and it has to do with connecting people who care with causes that matter. And that's what we do. We're the conduit between all these great people in the community that really care about this place. So they've lived here maybe all their lives, or they started a business, they raised a family, they worked at Caterpillar for 40 years, whatever it might be. They care about Central Illinois, and they want to make sure that even perhaps when they're gone, that the legacy of quality of life in this community continues. So we get to be between those really great caring people and all these causes that matters, all these nonprofits that are doing such great work to support people and enhance and improve the quality of life in Central Illinois. So that's pretty pleasant work, as you might imagine.
Yeah. So how many grants a year do you guys typically give out?
Well, it's interesting. Between all the ways that we grant, we make probably 2,500 grants a year.
Wow.
And the vast majority of that is actually donor-driven. So we have funds, something along the lines of a donor-advised fund, where people contribute money to the Community Foundation, and then from time to time they make recommendations to us about what organizations they would like to support, and then we take care of the rest. We write the checks and do all the due diligence. So 85% of the grant making we do is at the behest of a donor who has money with us at the foundation. But the rest of it is discretionary, where we make through all of our processes decisions about what organizations are going to be supported. And we have a lot of volunteers to help us make those decisions. And then we make a lot of grants that way too. So a community foundation, I always say, if you've seen one community foundation, you've seen one, because we're all reflective of our communities and our asset size and the needs in a community and things like that. So the overall impact is significant. And on average, we grant between about $5 and $6 million into the community, and in some cases beyond every year.
Wow. Yeah. That's awesome.
So are you specific to the Peoria area?
We actually serve a 50-mile radius around the city of Peoria. And actually, I usually say a 50-ish mile radius, because we don't serve and make any grants to McLean County or Knox County, because they have their own foundations over there, their own community foundations that are doing things over there. But other than that, we make grants into all of those areas As you might imagine, that's challenging because right down the street are significant issues in the community from an urban standpoint. But we also know that in the rural areas, there's a lot of issues too in regards to rural poverty, hunger, and otherwise. And so our challenge is how do we continue to work with more and more people that contribute more and more money to the foundation so we can turn around and impact the needs throughout that whole area.
Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
a pretty good test.
So you guys probably have a website that explains a lot of this too, right?
It's all there at communityfoundationci.org. So if everybody can rush right to it, that would be great. But it really is everything about our history as an organization and the good things we've done, the type of funds we have, the grants that we make. It's all there. Yeah.
So is there specific types of organizations you give to?
A neat thing about a community foundation is that we're a really flexible type of grant-making organization. So literally, we support everything from the arts to the environment to education by the way of scholarships or direct support of our local schools to social services as well. And that sort of differentiates us from others like our really terrific United Way here. We're so fortunate to have a United Way that is literally one of the strongest, if not the strongest, per capita United Way anywhere in the United States. But they focus on the social service aspect that's so critical to this community. But we get to do more, including those arts organizations that are oftentimes overlooked and things like that. So we do a little bit of everything.
Yeah, we continually hear that Peoria is generous beyond its means.
There's little question about that. The people here that come into my office and sit down and talk about what they would like to accomplish from a charitable standpoint on behalf of this community, it really is wondrous, and you see it every day in the work that you do and so many others in this community. It's really great.
So we like to see the people behind the scenes. Why did you get started in what you're doing?
Well, it's interesting. What brought me to Peoria 22 years ago now was actually big business. I worked for AT&T, and I was brought here to be a part of the sales team that serviced Caterpillar, right? So at the heart of so many things has always been Caterpillar. And the industry was really changing at that time, and I honestly just wasn't enjoying the work very much. And so after a series of good long talks with my wife, she said, why don't you think about something else that uses the same skill set, which is communications and talking to people and things like that, and I guess sales at the end of the day, towards some other purpose, some other end. And I took a look around and ultimately went to work in my first nonprofit foray at Bradley University as a development director there. And then from then on, I've had a couple of stops until 11 years ago, I came to the Community Foundation, and that's been a wonderful fit. So I've never once regretted the decision to change from the corporate world, which just wasn't the best fit for me, to something that's more meaningful every day. Yeah.
So how can people get involved with the Community Foundation?
Well, there's a couple of ways. We have some amount of volunteerism, so we're not a terribly volunteer-driven organization, but there are a couple of ways that really people are helpful to us. We have so under the umbrella of the foundation, we have in round numbers about 340 different charitable funds that do all these different things that I just described. But two of them actually have their own advisory committees. One is called the Women's Fund. You may have heard of it. It's been around since the early 90s. The idea of it was and still is to get 1,000 women from throughout our community to contribute $1,000 to build a $1 million permanent fund that would be used to support issues impacting women and girls throughout Central Illinois. And to date, since it started, the balance is now approaching about $600,000. It's been great. So this is a permanent balance. It's not going to go down, and we're going to make grants from that every year in perpetuity. And we have so many women involved in that, in helping to drive it forward. And we took over the old YWCA's Women to Women Leader Luncheon some years ago, and that's brought a whole new group of people in that are helping to support the Women's Fund and the Community Foundation. So that's one way. Anybody, if you're interested in issues impacting women and girls, and who isn't in our community, contact us about getting involved in some way with the Women's Fund. Also, something called the Emerging Philanthropist Fund that we started a while ago, and Stacy was right at the very beginning of starting that. She's one of the founders,
I was.
right? So here's what you've done. Back in 2011, 2012, we started what is now called the Emerging Philanthropist Fund. The idea was to engage sort of younger community members who are maybe at that point in their lives don't have a whole bunch of money to contribute to something to start their own charitable fund, but through a giving circle approach, they can all throw in $100 or $200. We take that, and over here on this side, we're growing a permanent fund called the Emerging Philanthropist Fund. But along the way, they're making really interesting grants every year that are supporting what I call sort of grassrootsy and innovative projects in the community. And as a matter of fact, just last night, that group met to review 4 finalists for this year's grant, and they'll make some decisions. Everybody gets a vote that's a member, and it's a great thing. So it's another wonderful way to get involved in your community foundation in recommending grants by a $100 contribution. There's almost no one can say no to that, right? So that's a good way. But other ways are we have a volunteer board of directors. So I have a 17-member board that oversees the governance functions of the organization. But then mostly it's the donors. We have all these funds. People can establish their own permanent fund at the community foundation with a minimum contribution of $10,000, and these funds can do all kinds of things, but anyone can give to any of our funds at any time, and that really is the point. So go to the website, communityfoundationci.org, take a look around and look at these things that are impacting hunger or the arts or the Women's Fund or Emerging Philanthropists or others, and make a contribution to support that. All of us working together make the kind of impact this community needs.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Do you have any good stories of impacts that Community Foundation has done in our community that you can share with us?
I think my favorite thing right now, and there are literally dozens of these stories, but what we did in the last year is really resonating in the community. We had been forever, in our first 33 years as an organization, a really reactive grant-making organization. So we went through all our processes. We solicited grant proposals from all these great community organizations. We then reviewed them and ranked them and made grants accordingly. But we knew it was time to maybe take a more proactive stance in regards to our grant making. And so as a result of our last strategic plan, we took a look at the community and we took a hard look at some of the real key needs. And there's a lot of them, right? There's mental health issues and a host of others. But the one we landed on was food insecurity. It was hunger. And we decided we would take some of our resources, our financial resources, and start to laser focus those on issues impacting people that are food insecure in our community. And a lot of people are. In the Tri-County area, where there's 45,000 people that are considered to be food insecure. And that means on a regular basis, they don't have access to healthy, fresh foods that they need for them or their families. That's unacceptable, right? We live in a place with the biggest box stores full of more food than anyone can shake a stick at, and in the most fertile farm ground pretty much anywhere in the world, right? Yeah. So if there's anywhere there shouldn't be hunger, it should be perhaps in central Illinois. But the fact is, the emergency food system, more and more food gets injected into it every year, but more and more people are still hungry. So we took a different look and created something called Ending Hunger Together. The idea was we wouldn't make any grants from that until at least 2 or more organizations partnered together on a really interesting project. And the idea was also to make sure that we foster that collaboration, but we're working on systemic issues that lead to hunger rather than just injecting more and more food into that system. And it's really important that today as a community, we continue to take care of those that need food. Let's do that. But while that's working over here, let's work over here to someday create less hungry people. Sure. So we made our first grant a few months ago. It was to an organization led by the Tazewell County Health Department that had 17 different organizations, projects, or programs all lined up together. And they're working to develop approaches to hunger in our community that are replicable and measurable and can be sustainable as well. We feel good about this initial start, and we're learning a lot, and we'll just keep going.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
It's got to be rewarding, the kind of job that you do and connecting people and connecting resources.
Yeah, I don't think there's any surprise that when I looked for something more meaningful when I was in the corporate world, that this is the kind of work and people and projects that I like to surround myself with. And I do the same through Rotary. Stacy and I are in Peoria North Rotary together, and that's been meaningful to me. And as I think about that, there's no surprise that I spend my days surrounded by good people doing good things on behalf of the community, because that's meaningful to me. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, and you get to learn more.
Yeah. So we've been learning a lot about grants and nonprofit organizations. And what's the best way for a nonprofit to ask for a grant or connect with a grant?
So the website really is the best first start. As I said, communityfoundationci.org. Go there and look around under For Grant Seekers is the section, and it'll tell you about all the different arts grant-making initiatives. There's even an animal welfare grant-making initiative, because over time, people have left money to the Community Foundation because they wanted to benefit the welfare of animals, right? People love animals. So we have funds that do that. And then we have something called Community Needs, which is sort of our largest grant-making initiative, and that's held every fall. And so you'll learn all about the requirements, the deadlines, and how you can apply as an organization. It's important to note that we don't make any grants to individuals. We only make them to what we call qualified organizations. Those are 501c3s, churches, schools, and most units of government. So it's pretty wide. We can support lots of people. So they should start there, and they can always call our office too, 674-309-674-8730. I'll speak with them, or Sarah Fletcher, who oversees all of our grant programs and does an awesome job. We'll be glad to explain it to them as well. The other thing I would mention is that we oversee around 60 different scholarships that benefit students from right here throughout Central Illinois, and we grant in scholarship support about $300,000 annually and growing.
Wow.
So for parents, grandparents, students who are out there looking for money for higher education, and who isn't, right?
Yeah.
Go to our website and look under the scholarships tab, and you'll learn about the pretty rich array of scholarships we have available there.
Probably a variety of needs and.
Yeah, but people create these. They care so much about supporting higher education and students, and nursing is the largest one that we have. A lady named Jean Brown many years ago contributed a large estate gift to the foundation, and we literally grant scholarships every year to dozens of nursing students that go to school, mostly right around here. The value equation of that is that a lot of them stay here and go to work. So they improve the quality of healthcare in this community. They improve the economic viability of this community. There's a lot of positives. And so it's just another one of the neat ways that we're able to help.
Yeah, and you guys are located right in the middle of the community.
Yeah, after the first 29 years of being downtown, which we very much liked. And I liked working down there because in the summertime, like now, the carts are out there, the food carts, and really things are so much more, they're vibrant downtown now. It's just getting better all the time. But we did move out next to First Federated Church in the Life Together Center building that they own. And we rent from them that wonderful space right at the front that faces Sheridan, right under the huge flag that everyone's seen. And we hold our meetings there, our annual meetings, and host other things on behalf of some key initiatives that we're involved in the community. I love that location even more because it's so centrally located.
Right.
So it's literally 10 minutes to anywhere from the corner of Warren Sheridan.
Yeah.
It's great. Yeah. Come visit. Anyone's welcome to come visit.
So what do you think, besides food scarcity, is another big issue that you're seeing?
Well, I think that we're going to have to continue to get our heads and hands as a community around mental health. And we are not an expert, nor am I an expert in mental health. But what's recently happened is, and maybe you've heard of it, but a collaboration between three organizations, Unity Point Methodist, and the Human Service Center and Tazwood Services, they formed together to form a new organization called Unity Place. And the idea of Unity Place, and it's its own brand new nonprofit, the idea of Unity Place is to be the leading delivery of a method or conduit of behavioral health, mental health causes in our area. Look, you see it walking down the street here. There are people that we know that are homeless, and sometimes homelessness is driven by mental health, and so is hunger, and so many other things, and crime, and lack of education, and a host of other things. These things are all integrated together. So kudos to them for having the strength and the wherewithal and the foresightedness to band together, because that's hard work to take three nonprofit organizations and put them together into one new one. The Community Foundation helped because the Human Service Center had its own foundation, and over the years they had built a wonderful sized amount of money of around $16 million in there. And when they formed the new entity, they looked for a place that was a logical place to house that money. And they came to the Community Foundation. We worked on it over many months, and we just recently created two new designated funds. with that $16 million in it. One will be to support the operations of the new Unity Place organization and the programmatic stuff that they do, and the other is to help support the recruitment of additional mental health professionals to our community, which is greatly needed. And so it's just another example of the really flexible and unique ways that a community foundation can be of help.
Very cool.
Awesome. A lot of great things that you guys do. Since we love to talk about Peoria. Why Peoria? Why should somebody come to Peoria? Why should somebody move to Peoria?
Well, from my perspective as a nonprofit guy, I mean, the chamber would have a different answer than this, and the Convention and Visitors Bureau would have a different answer. But I don't think the answers would be too much different. There is something very different and special about the fabric of this community and made up by the people. And there are good people everywhere, but I get to see them every day, which is a nice part of my work. I'm exposed to some of the most caring and generous and kind people that you could ever imagine, whether that be our volunteers, our donors, or others. And so we have a long history in this community of sort of the old Peorians of leading the way. And we're losing some of those, right? In this time of in the world, the older folks are sometimes passing on or moving out of the community. Their kids aren't living here anymore. So we need to, it really, I think, points out the importance of an organization like a community foundation that has this permanent source of charity that even after some of those who have really led the way in this community for many years are gone, we can still continue to help them leave a legacy by the things that we do. But we all travel, we all go places, and it's always nice to get back to this community because it's, by and large, very safe. It's easy to get around. The cost of living is quite good. But for me, everything boils down to the people and the good works that they do, and I'm proud, and the foundation's proud to be a part of that.
Mm-hmm.
Before we go, what is your website and what's the best way to reach you?
So we're at communityfoundationci.org, and you can call us 309-674-8730. You can also check us out on Facebook, LinkedIn. Come be our friends on there, and you'll learn even more about the foundation. We always try to tell the stories that we're of all these grants and things that we're doing, and so it's a good way to get some feel good when you're maybe not feeling it. Check out your community foundation.
Awesome.
Cool.
We're here with Mark Roberts. Thank you so much for your time. We are on Facebook, YouTube, Peoria Life, I3 Broadband Channel 17 on Peoria TV. And WPEO. You can check us out there. And if you happen to catch us on Facebook Live, go back and watch from the beginning and learn more about what the Community Foundation does. Have a great week, everybody.
PeoriaLife.com